Hello there. So we're on the night after, or the day after, the FM series season 4 has happened. So I'm just going to briefly go through how I did, and I've got the Twitter up, and I've got the tactic up that I had in mind at the start. So just going to quickly go through how the tournament went, and how I thought about the process. I do not expect to get that far in the next round, but because I'm going to reveal a few things, and in general, if you've got a couple of tricks and you've used them, you're not gonna do that well. So I entered the draft with these scenarios. So we had 300 million pool, 20 players, then you're restricted to 2 nations per 5 picks. So England and Netherlands in round 1 to 5, Norway and Belgium in round 6 to 10, Brazil and Croatia in rounds 11 to 15, Italy and Serbia in rounds 16 to 20. So it was a very hard pool. So we looked for a certain grade of player for the formation that we were going for. So we went for that formation, but we'll just quickly go through the drafting bit of it. So we looked at players to fit the roles that we needed. So you see we color coded it here: yellow for England and Dutch, orange for Norway and Belgium, Brazil and Croatia in green, and then Italy and Serbia in blue. So we looked for players to fill the position. So as you briefly saw there, it was a 5-2-3. So we were looking for players to be utility. So goalkeeper wise, we looked to restrict the budget as much as possible. Left back and right back, because I was running quite narrow, you needed players that were quite good. When I did some test drafts, it was key to not have cheap players there. So we ended up with Lodi, who ended up being a star player. I believe he's Atletico Madrid. Then we missed out on all of these players, and we went with Svensson, which I'll come on to in a bit. We looked out for a centre back on either side who could perform that left back role or perform that right back role, and that meant that gives us that availability if we had some injuries, which we did later on in the tournament. Then we looked for a centre back who could also play at least deep line centre midfield. We ended up getting both Cristante and Dyer. One did better than the other, but we'll come on to that as we go. Then midfield wise, we were aiming to get Cooper Meyer and Bellingham because they were good, cheaper players with the 14 million mark. In comparison, Haaland was 89 million, Kane was in that range as well. So I'm not going to spend a third of my budget on a player if you don't have the adequate replacements around him. But I did have my cheaper options if I needed to go to, if that came up. So we ended up with Cooper Meyer, and then we had Cristante as our main 2 centre mids. We actually went for some different players. We were a bit weaker in centre midfield. Then we were going to be playing with a high line with our front 3. So our main goal was to get Trossard, which was I think he was the most expensive player that we got at 40 million. And we ended up getting Tadic as well for 40. And then we got Barbosa for 27. We got Belotti for 12, who ended up just being a bit on the bench. He didn't do well. And then we got Vardy, who turned out to be the cheapest bargain that we got at 5 million as well. So we did really well on our draft. Castells, Lodi, Byrne, Ajer, Cristante, Cooper Myers, Trossard, Barbosa, all first choice picks we all got. So we had backups in these players, but you didn't want to leave it in those later rounds. So I had key players to fit in key situations. Same with goalkeepers. So I knew, as you can see, there's not much orange on the board. I knew I needed to get my main goalkeeper then. Because it's a restricted draft, you need to plan ahead when it comes to that. Right, that's enough of the draft bit. We'll move on. Right, to the tactic. So, when it comes to the tactic, we didn't play with that team. Remove everybody. By all means, pause it if you want to grab, but I wouldn't grab this one. This one we altered as we went. So I have to manually do it. We just remove them all. There we are. So when it comes to this situation, we found in the early rounds that a low block doesn't work. So we went for a high press, low block. Didn't work, so we ended up going for a mid standard, and then we dropped that, trapped outside. So we ended up with this. So the way it went, so first choice players, so we went Lodi on the left, Byrne on the left because he's left footed, we went Ajer on the right. Tended to go for Dyer in that role. We found out in testing that Vardy is our best striker, even though he's a touch slower than he used to be. Svensson on the right, Cristante in that crucial role when needed. So we swapped and changed and put Cristante in there in some of the later rounds. Cooper Myers, Barbosa, and Trossard. So we'll just do a starting 11 just to quickly go through it. So this was tended to be our lineup towards the end of the tournament. We went a little offsuit in a way with the. You'll see if I click on these players that we had player instructions already loaded. It sat narrower. I ended up going shoot more, tackle harder, mark tighter. You always keep tinkering. So I was doing that. Lodi I had pre-programmed anyway. Stay wider, get forward, take more risks, tackle harder. But he was doing darting runs in to match Trossard. Trossard had to cover Lodi for a few of the games. And then when it comes to the depth of the squad, so Svensson was on less crosses as well, some of it. When it comes to the depth of the squad, we lost a few players throughout the tournament. So if Lodi went, I went with Trossard, and then you'd go with Rodri there. You'd then go right. Cristante's gone. Right. Best backup we have is Danilo Barbosa, so he can't play as a playmaker. So ball winning on support. Ball winning on support aims to win the ball high up the pitch and supports the resulting counter-attack. So he's still going to be that attacking present for you. His passing's not as good, but he's got good tackling, good vision, good teamwork. And you see it with a lot of my players that they're going to work hard. They're going to have good vision. They're going to have good teamwork. They're going to work together to get up there. I was a bit counterintuitive while playing Cooper Myers on the right when he's left-footed, but when you're playing with a formation that has attacking here, you don't want to have attacking here, or you're going to be left outnumbered on this side. So we played him on the right, sorry. Right. When the commentator said, I've listened back to the commentators. When the commentators said, you've got Vardy as an attack target forward, technically I've not, because the bit that most of the competitors didn't figure out was that I was flicking a lot. So what I mean is, when you're in game and suddenly the game's changed. I've got a Roma going forward, making late runs in here, instead of he's gonna play slow, play up the field and go for it. Target forward, so he's gonna lay off and sit here waiting for that ball. But now he's gonna look for that pass. When in later games as well, you look to alter it and build from there. So later games I had to have Tadic in there because Vardy wasn't doing well. So Tadic and Barbosa, I looked to do the swap, build it from there. So Tadic and Barbosa were flipping spaces, so suddenly you can't mark the player. Then Svensson was outnumbered, so we were flipping him as well. So that was very basic on there. So we had one formation where we were trying to be possession based, building the ball up from the back, as you can see there, building it quickly. Then second one, we were looking for a higher press, so we were up here in their face, trying to get the ball off them, making darting runs in to those key positions and keeping on their backs. Third formation, this was basically to wind the game down, be a mid block. If they're only playing a front two, we would just basically hit them with passes, play it slower. So even though that's on low, what I would do is slow the down, higher pass, and stop playing there. So you'd see in the highlights that I'm gonna on the streams, there was quite a lot of high scoring games because I was going 2, right, stick with that for a bit, 3, right. So it's not giving chance for the opponent to keep up with the changes. Well, right, been nattering on for a while, right? We'll go back to here and we'll just quickly go through the results just so you can see, for those of you who don't want to watch the games. So we're just going to go through the Twitter as it went. So commentators, drafting boards. So we had a lot of players. High expectations for Don with his Haaland pick. We had a surprise lack of Brent up front from Maritimo. Then Rodriguez had a very clinical board of a lot here. Kane, Jesus had a lot of good picks. So it was weird coming into it not knowing much about the players. So week one we played Monk. It was a nail-biting game where I was trying out the low block and figuring out it wasn't working. So we altered quickly and managed to get the win. Week 2, we lost our second game. This time to Lewitt. He managed to break the formation down, and he was one of the only ones that could. We tried to counter, but it didn't work. Week 3, start of us finding our feet. We played against Megzy, who played with a front 4. but with the formation, you make alterations where you're, instead of playing from the back, you're playing on the wings, and my strength was on my wings, so it just neutralized them quite quickly. Play it quickly, counter press. We did leak 2 goals, but we had the ability to make it to oblivion. We played to our strengths and we neutralized it. 6th. Week 4. The micro game from hell. Rodriguez altered his formation lots of times, which meant I had to do the same. I had to tinker with my formation to try and keep up with him. Unfortunately, he out microed me, and I just, to be honest, I stopped. There was no point trying to keep up with him, or it would last another 10 minutes. Pause, unpause, pause, unpause. But we gave a good account for ourselves. I believe that was the first time he leaked 2 goals and didn't really concede that much in the tournament. Week 5. We came into the Don. The Don was the one with Haaland. He managed to neutralise me defensively, and he kept up with me. So, can't really say much on that. I tried a few tricks, didn't really get through him. Alright, back on. Week 6. Cam. 6-3. Started off badly, conceding quite early, but you could see with his tactic that he plays a lot up front. So few quick changes and we just outmanned him and got the way through him. All my players were very good at passing, very good at work rate, very good at pressure. So it's just out pressuring him, getting him higher into his half. Since he's going for it with a high line, you just go past him. It's just high press, option 2 if you remember the tactics. So week 7, Tattooed Viking. We were sitting 3rd now. Go. 7. We won. It's not going to show it because they didn't put it on this time, but it was a 5-0 win, and we were flying high into that position where we would get into the qualifiers. Wild card, if I remember. Next up, Verissimo. 2nd versus 3rd. The dude told me that he needed to go to a party. So that gave me added interest to stop him. Drew 1-0, leading to that position where we were 14 points in the wildcard position. Cam just behind us on goal difference, -2. It was all to play for in the final round. We were playing Ramster, so he had a tough game there. And finish. Not on there. We just basically pounded him. 6-3. He played with a front 4. Played with 3 strikers and a shadow striker up top. When you're playing against a formation with tons of defense, he played too high. He did manage to get a goal. I believe it was 6-1, but just 4-2, I think. But it was another one where he's playing super attacking, and I just outstructured him. Went down our side, our left side with Lodi and Trossard, and got those whipped in corners. Vardy just played terrific in that last game. So we qualified in 2nd, and we will be in the tournament. So just to briefly, 4th versus 7th, then went into wild cards. Luit Megzi got outdone there. Played too attacking from what I saw. As in, he had about 6 players up top on attack duty. Ah. You need to have a balanced formation. Wildcard 2, then final Lewitt versus Cam, and Lewitt did it. Oh, is it. So you'll see more Football Manager as it comes in the coming weeks. So we're gonna be less streaming it. We're not going to be streaming it as much for the next couple of weeks because I'm doing some DIY, which involves me changing the setup yet again, moving things around. So you'll see me pop up for some streams later in the week with some Guardians of the Galaxy. In the coming weeks you'll see some more Football Manager as well. So thank you for joining for that little quick overview that turned into 20 minutes. So we will just to briefly show you once more. This was the formation. We mid block with Metzala doing run. Now start from the beginning. So back line, because he's doing attacking runs, he's going to hold that role here. Play here. We had deep line playmaker. If you have that ability, he's going to hold the ball up and pass it up into there. Tended to use Cristante in that role. Cooper Myers, pass maker, playmaker, trying to control the middle. Then, if needed, he would do darting late runs in there. Right-sided, neutralised because they haven't got the best in terms of crossing, so he was on crossing less, take less risks, so he's going to be the more defensive player that can do the run, so we're not going to be outmanned. Tended to be with, where is he? There he is. Trossard, Barbosa and Vardy in that playmaker role. So target man and advanced forward. So we would alter the strat where appropriate. Barbosa would do late runs here and pass. Even though he's left footed, he's doing those ability to move it there. You've got a player who places shots, winds up opponents, argues with officials, not going for you. So he's going to be your crowd favourite. It does have an effect. So let's do it one more time. 1, 2, and 3. The Barcelona play it short formation where you're gonna just build it up very slowly and you're getting here pressing. I altered a hell of a lot during the tournament. I saw a high press straight away. Do that. Neutralizes it. Right. So I've just revealed some tactics, so I gotta go back to the drawing board. Till next time, folks. Enjoy the rest of your day.